GM to all the Neonites out there, wherever and whenever you are. This is the Week in Review, your one-stop shop for everything that happened in the Neo ecosystem over the past week. Just like last week, I'm recording this a day early because I will be away from my keyboard over the next couple days, so thanks for bearing with us in case any piece of this news is slightly out of date by the time you see it. As always, if you appreciate what you're seeing, don't hesitate to hit that thumbs up button and to follow our YouTube feed. Let's kick this thing off. Neo announced the Asia Pacific Hackathon Tour that will be taking place in 6 different countries across the region over the coming months. The hackathon will have $118,000 in prizes and will offer up to $1 million in incubation support for the winners from the event. The hackathon will take place in 6 different cities that are going to be called gas stations, which include Tokyo, Ho Chi Minh City, Bangalore, Seoul, Singapore, and concluding in Hong Kong. The primary motivation for the event is to find people and teams that are building in the APAC region and to foster them after the recent announcements of Hong Kong opening its doors to the cryptocurrency community. The event is now live, registration is open, and people can begin hacking for the APAC Hackathon. The first of 2 outreach events were held this week in conjunction with the launch of the APAC Hackathon Tour. The first was a webinar that Neo Global Development hosted, which featured representatives from NGD, Neo Foundation, and me from Neo News Today. The purpose for the webinar was to talk about the motivation behind the hackathon, the technical overview of the N3 stack, and then I gave a sort of step-by-step guide for dates and upcoming events that will be happening in conjunction with the APAC Hackathon Tour, including many different types of coding workshops and Twitter Spaces that will be held throughout the coming months. NGD also hosted its first Twitter Spaces, which was dedicated to the DeFi vertical of the blockchain and cryptocurrency space. These spaces hosted various different DeFi projects that are building in the Neo ecosystem, including For the Win Network, Flamingo Finance, O3 Labs, Perlin Finance, and Poplar Finance. Topics of discussion included the backgrounds of the various individuals representing the DeFi projects, the motivations for people building out these DeFi platforms, how these projects are building in the Neo ecosystem, and much more. Head over to the official Neo Twitter account to listen to a recording of the Twitter Spaces. In GrantShares news this week, congratulations to Pixudi, who is building a racing game on the blockchain, which will be built on various different blockchains, who was approved for their first milestone of funding through GrantShares. In Milestone 1, the team intends to build on NeoFS, while it also integrates support for Neo into the game. There were a total of 7 members who voted, 5 in favor, and 2 who abstained. And on Sunday, July 9th, the time lock concluded and the funding for the proposal was released. COZ recently announced the upcoming BOA Day, which will take place on July 12th to celebrate the launch of Neo BOA version 1.0.0. The day will include various different challenges, activations, and developer interactions to celebrate the launch of version 1.0. COZ also released Mamba version 2.0.0, which included an array of enhancements to the software developer kit. Developers will find opcode generation improvements, 1 of N multi-sig support in the chain facade, and compatibility with Python 3.11. Neo News Today released episode 40 of the Smart Economy podcast featuring guest Holly Wood, the Director of Business Development at Boson Protocol. Topics of discussion in the Smart Economy podcast episode included what it's like working with Web3 natives and builders, what it's like working with big brands who are seeking to enter the Web3 space, building marketplaces that serve as the crossover for physical items and digital goods, and so much more. Head over to smarteconomypodcast.com to check out the latest episode. And lastly, in upcoming events, on July 13th, Neo will be hosting a Twitter Spaces dedicated to NFTs. On July 18th, there will be a coding workshop for building smart contracts in the Python programming language. And on July 19th, NEO will also be hosting a Twitter Spaces dedicated to AI, DAOs, and social fi. Well, that just about wraps up everything that happened in the NEO ecosystem over the past week. We appreciate you coming over to our neck of the woods to see what was happening in NEO. As always, if you appreciate what you saw, please don't hesitate to hit that thumbs up button and to follow our YouTube feed. And if you're a NEO token holder, consider voting for NEO News today as your council representative. We've proudly been serving the NEO ecosystem since 2017 and will continue to contribute portions of our council income directly back into ecosystem growth initiatives. We look forward to catching you next time.